Hi, welcome to what I hope will be the first of many gear run through videos of my other pieces of equipment other than my guitars, which I've already gone through from soup to nuts. So what I'm going to run through today is this beast. It's a Ceriatone OTS Mini 20, which is based on a Dumble Overdrive Special, built by Ceriatone here in Malaysia, and I'm running it through a Ceriatone 1x12 cabinet which has got a warehouse speaker in it. A warehouse speaker which I believe is modelled on a Celestian green back, but don't quote me on that. So what have I got here? Well, it's essentially a twin channel amplifier. You've got a clean channel and an overdrive channel, and there is a preset gain boost which can be engaged on both channels. What I'm on now at the moment is the clean channel, and I'm using good old Charvel San Dimas. This is not got the same sort of controls that you'd expect on a common or garden Fender or Marshall amplifier. You know, everyone's used to the master volume at the right hand end, gain somewhere at the left hand end, and EQ and reverbs in the middle. Well, forget it. This has got different control layout of that, and they don't do exactly what's written on the front. So if I read left to right here on the front panel, you've got presence, master, ratio, level, bass, middle and treble. And then finally there's a volume. Presence does what it says on the tin. It's sort of that high mid-range for you to get a bit more zing on the sound. Master, that is in fact the master volume, the overall master volume for the amp. Ratio, that gives you the level of the overdrive channel relative to the clean channel. And I've got that cranked all the way up at the moment. Level is effectively the drive, the gain level for the overdrive channel. Then you've got bass, middle and treble, and that's the special source of the overdrive type circuit. I believe this EQ section is an active EQ which sits between the preamp section and the power amp section. And the volume, well, that's effectively the volume, it's effectively the gain for the clean channel, and also affects the overall volume level, or sorry, the overall gain structure of the overdrive channel. And there is also a pull bright switch on that. And then round the back there's an extra little volume control which adjusts the overall level of the signal going from the preamp to the power amp. And if you have that all the way around clockwise, that gives you a very high gain amp, potentially, depending obviously on what you've got in the front. And if you back that off, you get a bit more touch sensitivity and a bit less overall gain. And I tend to keep that somewhere in the middle, sort of a best of both worlds. Then there's two little micro switches here. One's marked rock jazz, one's marked mid boost. The rock jazz affects the overall tonality of the EQ circuit. So if it's in the upper position, that's the rock position, and you get a bit of a mid-range hump. And if you put it down into the jazz position, which I'll just do here, and so you get slightly different tonality. And then the mid boost, at the moment I've got the mid boost engaged in the up position. Again, if I play that lick, that's rock with the mid boost engaged. If I take the mid boost off, and in the documentation that comes with this amp, Ceriatone state that if you want to stay in sort of your comfort zone, if you're used to using a Marshall or a Mesa or similar modern amp, keep the rock keep it on rock and mid boost. And then if you want to start getting more into more typically Dumble territory, keep them both in the down position. So while I'm on the clean channel, I'll put those back, put it back onto rock and the mid boost. I can kick in this little gain, this little level boost. Now here on the clean channel, because I'm not running much drive and there's not much compression inherent to the sound, that gives me a very significant level boost. And if I put up that volume knob there, you can hear I start getting into that, well, that sort of pushed clean sound, which is what Dumble amp uses, you know, Seller Firstborn for. There is a problem with that, because if you are using that sort of sound and you then want to go to the drive channel, all gets a bit wild and woolly, and you can get into a position where if you don't have things set quite right, you actually kick in the overdrive and you get a level drop, and so you're playing away on a clean tone, you hit the drive to go for a solo, and all of a sudden nobody can hear you. You really have got to tweak these things to get them set up right. At the moment, I tend to keep that volume level, that volume knob down at around 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And then, well, the overdrive channel, if I kick that in, now I've got the level, which remember is the drive for the overdrive channel. I've got that sitting at about 10 o'clock. If I push that round a bit more, I'll put that on full, let's have a laugh. Let's see what sort of a sound I get. You can hear things get a bit hairy. And obviously if you're running up there, then you have to use the ratio to back off so you don't get an enormous volume jump. Sorry, turning my back on the camera. I know it's very bad presentation technique, but I'm afraid I've only got one set of arms. So if I get that back down to where I more commonly use it, push the ratio back up again. And here, this is quite a loud amp. It's 20 watts. It's only just ticking over here. And to be honest, I play clubs that maybe get 100, 150 people in tops. I've never had this amp over 9 o'clock on the master. And it sounds like I need some switch cleaner or some contact cleaner on this pickup selector on this guitar. So what else is there to say about this amp? Okay, it does have an effects loop on it, but it's a passive effects loop. So that means you have to either use an effects loop buffer, which can be bought from Ceriatone. They do two sorts. They do a thing called a simulator, which is a solid state effects loop buffer. Or they do a clinulator, which is a valve-driven effects loop buffer. Or you do what I do, which is you use how can I say, effects pedals that don't have true bass pass in them, that have built-in buffers. So, for example, when I tend to put my little micro board in the effects loop of this, I have a Korg Boss CH1 chorus pedal as the very first pedal in the loop. Then I have I have an MXR Dunlop Univibe, and then I have a Boss Echo head. So all of those, well, the MXR is a true bypass, so I make sure that's in the middle. So I've got a buffer at both ends, and that way it seems to work fine with this amp. Other people who have problems with the effects loop are probably trying to use true bypass pedals or pedals that require a line level on them. This is fine so long as I'm using standard stomp box type pedals in the effects loop. I also usually run the tuner in the effects loop as well, which and sometimes I will put a clean boost in the effects loop, meaning that I can get a level gain out of that instead of a distortion gain when I step on a clean boost, so that I can cut through for solos. And I've been using a more pure boost for that. I did buy a little SHO clone off of the internet, a little Chinese made clone of a Zvex Super Hard-On, and that only worked for about a week. I discovered it's got a nasty little circuit fault in there. Probably a dodgy transistor. I'm going to get around to fixing it one of these days. Which means that after it's been plugged into the power supply for more than an hour or so, something overheats and it stops working for anything above unity gain. So you turn the level knob and it goes unity gain, go above unity gain, and it dies, and that tells me I think the transistor's dead, because that on the circuit they use the variable resistor that you're using as the gain knob is actually in the drain of the field effect transistor, which provides all of the gain, and that means you're altering the biasing voltage of the field effect transistor, and once it's actually trying to use it as an amplifier it dies, which I think tells me I've got a dodgy FET in there. But there might be some other problems in there with the way it's handling the input voltage coming from the power supply. But anyhow, I digress mightily. Alright, well, that's my Ceriatone OTS 20 Mini.